Yes, the recent elections in Senegal marked a significant moment in that country's political landscape. Bassirou Diomaye, an opposition candidate, emerged victorious after defeating 18 rivals. This is just 10 days following his release from prison. His win is seen as a move towards restoring normalcy in Senegal after a tumultuous period. Funnily enough, the outgoing president, who is constitutionally barred from seeking a third term, had attempted to delay the elections and had jailed his leading rivals, Ousmane Sonko and Faye, on charges of corruption and defamation. This move has sparked a violent protest leading to widespread unrest. So, following the release of Faye and Sonko and amidst growing pressure from the public, the elections were allowed to proceed. And Faye campaigned focused on the need to rewrite oil and gas contracts, reflecting a desire for transparency and fairness in the country's natural resource management. So the victory for Ousmane Diaye signifies a shift in Senegal's political landscape and underscores the importance of democratic process and the rule of law. Moving forward, the new administration seeks to face the challenges of addressing grievances of the population, promoting stability, and pursuing inclusive governance to ensure the country's progress. So today, I just want to shed some light on this perennial issue that continues to haunt the African continent. The challenges surrounding presidential elections. This is across the continent. The process of electing leaders often comes with a fair share of complexities, controversies, and sometimes even crises. One of the primary issues plaguing presidential elections in Africa is the lack of transparency and also lack of fairness. In many countries, electoral processes are marred by irregularities, manipulation, and even outright fraud. My friends, these practices undermine the credibility of elections and erode public trust in democratic institutions. Without free and fair elections, the legitimacy of elected leaders comes into question all the time, leading to political instability and also social unrest. Moreover, the phenomenon of leaders attempting to cling to power beyond their constitutional mandate has become way too common. Instead of respecting term limits and facilitating peaceful transitions of power, some leaders resort to authoritarian tactics to prolong their stay in office. This not only undermines democratic principles, but also stifles political pluralism and hampers the emergence of new leadership. New leadership with new ideas. Africa has been stranded for the last 50 years. We need new leadership, new ideas. Furthermore, the politicization of electoral institutions poses a significant challenge in the integrity of elections. Electoral institutions must be fair, open, and transparent. When electoral bodies lack independence and also lack impartiality, they become susceptible to manipulation by incumbent governments, thereby compromising the fairness of the electoral process. This undermines the democratic aspirations of the people and perpetuates a cycle of authoritarianism and instability. With instability, there is no innovation, there is no development, there is no improvement. Additionally, the suppression of political opposition and other dissenting voices during electoral periods is a grave concern. Opposition candidates are often harassed, intimidated, or even arrested depriving citizens of meaningful political choices and stifling democratic debate. Freedom of expression and association are fundamental rights that must be upheld during elections to ensure the participation of all citizens in the political process. My friends, despite all these challenges, it's crucial to acknowledge the positive strides that some African countries have made in conducting credible and peaceful elections. These success stories demonstrate that with political will, strong institutions, and active citizen engagement, democratic norms can take root and flourish. So, these issues surrounding African presidential elections in Africa, African issues, requires a concerted effort from governments. Sitting governments must make these efforts work. Civil society must be allowed to exist. And the international community must be present to oversee and make these elections free and fair. Upholding the principles of democracy, ensuring electoral integrity, respecting term limits, and promoting inclusivity are essential towards building a brighter future for Africa. So, basically, this issue should be made a forefront in African countries. The recent events in Senegal serve as a bad reminder of the complexities and obstacles that often accompany electoral process in many African countries. The Senegalese young man, just 10 days after his release from prison, and an opposition leader emerging victorious in a country, beating 18 rivals. This is triumph. His triumph represents not only a victory for democracy, but also a beacon of hope for restoring normalcy in the continent. This is an example that every African country should look at. The outgoing president, how constitutionally prevented from seeking a third term, attempts to delay elections, and resort to imprisoning leading rivals. These actions are terrible. The African continent could see. These actions sparked violent protest and threatened to destabilize the country. What that means is the African youth is aware. They know what is going on. No more can a leader just do things outrightly, imprisoning rivals, but the people out there are seeing. So the violent protest made the current president to be released from prison. So amidst this chaos, uncertainty, he had to release Mr. Faye. And this subsequent allowance of elections to proceed signifies a triumph of democracy over authoritarianism. He decided to be an authoritarian. The people made him become a democratic by force. So the events in Senegal underscores that president challenges surrounding presidential elections in Africa has to stop. From attempts to manipulate the electoral process to suppress political opposition, the road to free and fair elections is often tough and is also fraught with obstacles. However, the resilience and the determination of the Senegalese people to uphold democratic principles serve as an inspiration to us all. So let us reaffirm our commitment to promoting democracy, my friends. Let us safeguard human rights. Let us uphold the rule of law across the entire continent. By fostering inclusiveness and improving political systems, Strengthening electoral institutions and empowering citizens to participate in democratic process, we must overcome the permanent challenges that plague the presidential elections in Africa. Senegal, oh yeah, you guys have done us proud. Thank you.